My name is Harris. I've never been talented at anything. My brother Steve is a very popular painter here in town. My sister Sally is a guitar player who usually does gigs at clubs around here and makes a lot of money. Me, I've never been good at anything, as opposed to everyone else in the family. This angers me so much. The only thing I could think of was my ability to speak without moving my lips. Seriously, I could keep my mouth shut and still speak clearly. I could even sing the alphabet. Then again, nobody that I know cares for stuff like that. My entire life changed when I met Deli. It was just a normal morning. I was waiting for the convenience store to open. It was next door to an antique store. I threw my empty pack of cigarettes in the dumpster behind the store, and when I opened up the lid, I saw something strange in there. He's small, about half as tall as me. He has green eyes, brown hair, and he wears a small fancy suit that had the pattern of a yellow and black squares. He looked like he would have cost a lot of money. Why would the antique store throw this thing away? He was still in perfect condition. I think I finally knew what to make of myself. I took him home with me. With him by my side, my seemingly worthless talent could prove to be worth something. I practiced moving Deli's mouth and eyes and tried many different tricks that the pros use in their shows. I called my brother and sister to come over. I introduced them to the new member of the family, and then they got me and him did a show together. Steve said I make Ron Lucas look like a hack. It felt good to know I was successful at something. That night, I left Deli on the dresser next to my bed, and I went to sleep. Sometime around 1:30 a.m., I heard a voice whisper to me, just enough to wake me up. It was strange. I live on my own, and if somebody was breaking in to rob the place, why would they wake me up? I thought to myself that it was probably just a dream, and I went back to sleep. Me and Deli would eventually be doing many shows. Our first one was at Krover's. It's a local restaurant. Our shows went along perfectly. There wasn't one joke that people didn't laugh at. After the show, I was driving home. This time, I heard that voice again. That voice that woke me up a few nights ago. This time, it was much louder than before. It said to me, "Don't forget who says what, big boy." Deli was in the passenger seat, and I swear I saw its eyes turn to look at me. I think he's talking to me. I know it sounds crazy, but there can't be any other explanation. I basically disregarded it. No way could it be alive. Our next show was at the comedy club. I was quite amazed at our first performance. All those people laughing, clapping, enjoying the show. I decided to give it all I had. Every joke I've written, every trick I've learned, smoking a cigarette while making Deli talk. Everyone loved us. I took many breaks, backstage in the dressing room. I was practicing one more time before the second half of our performance. This was going to be the best part of the whole thing. That was until it happened again. Deli spoke to me. He told me that we were going to end the show with a song. I originally had a different plan of how to end the show, but he told me to end it with a song. I couldn't even respond. I was in too much of a shock. The little wooden puppet was speaking to me like a human being. He threatened to hurt me if I didn't go with his plans. I told him that I can't sing. I'm not very good at it. He said to me, "Don't worry. Those sheep will be listening to me, the real talent." I was too scared to even go out on the stage. But I had to. He made me do it. From the start, the audience looked at me, and I can see it in their eyes. I was clearly afraid, but Deli kept them distracted. We began to sing "I'm Your Puppet" by James and Bobby Parafai. He would sing parts of the song and I would sing the rest. I would keep going back and forth with this in my voice. This was always difficult for me, but this time it was much easier. I wasn't even sure if I was doing the singing for him. When the song was finished, everyone began clapping and cheering. I cared less about that, and more about the fact that a wooden puppet was talking to me. When we went back to our usual jokes, Deli pointed out this attractive young lady in the audience. Deli poked fun at her large breasts and said he'd like to take her on a date. I went along with it and asked him, why would she be interested in a little termite nest when she could have a guy like me? He said in response, I may have termites, but at least I'm not the one with AIDS. The girl in the audience laughed. When the show was over, I was with the manager in my dressing room. He was very proud of me, but wasn't sure what to think. I wasn't sure what to think. When the manager left, the girl we joked about in the show came into my room, uninvited. She turned out to be a prostitute. She was trying to fool around with me, unbuttoned my coat. I tried telling her I wasn't interested and that she should leave, but then she grabbed Deli from me and said, I thought you and your doll wanted this. She placed his face between her breasts. I became infuriated and told her we need to get the F out of here before I call security. She scolded and dropped on the ground. She said, well, excuse me. I should have known you were a faggot. That's the only kind of man who would play with dolls. And she simply walked out, slamming the door. I picked up Deli to see if he was broken. He wasn't. I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing. He wasn't talking now, so I just left. I put Deli in my suitcase and left him at the club. There was no way in the hell I was going to sleep with him in my hotel room. I was supposed to be doing shows at the club all week, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it anymore. The next day, I went back to my hometown. It was only a 2-hour drive, so I could come back in time for the next show if I planned to do it. I went to the antique store where I found Deli in the dumpster. The shopkeeper was an elderly man with a long beard. I asked him if the dummy was his and what it was about. His face turned pale, and he looked absolutely horrified. He told me that he was the original owner of the dummy. He himself was a ventriloquist. He said that the dummy was carved from a tree that had been previously used to carve voodoo artifacts. He believed there was a connection. He believed the dummy was possessed by an evil spirit. He said that the more times I used the dummy, the more animate it would become. It killed its whole family. It killed his whole family, and he took the blame. The smell of his breath reminded me of an abandoned liquor store that me and my friends used to sneak into when I was a kid. I thought he was just a crazy old drunk fool. Then again, it seems like the only explanation. I asked him to take the damn thing away, or at least give me some advice on what to do. He refused to take it back, and told me to throw it away like he did, and wait for some other poor fool to find it. The dummy was no longer in his control, and was now the burden I had to bear. Whether he was crazy or not, I left and went back to the club to get Deli. First, I went to check out of my hotel and pack up my stuff. On the way there, I got a call from the manager at the club. He said that there was a story on the news about a girl going missing, and the girl was the same one who was at the club. I hung up on him and drove straight to the hotel. When I got there, Deli was laying on my bed. He spoke to me, but this time his lips were moving, unlike the previous time. Did you forget something? He said in a cheery voice. I backed away until he said, Don't back off. Back on. I want to live, big boy. Move my eyes. Put words into my mouth. We'll be a hit, big boy. We'll be a hit. Unless you want to get hit by me first. I asked him if he had anything to do with the girl. He told me that she was in the bathroom. I went in there, hardly taking my eyes off of him. I looked at the bathroom. The girl was there. She was in the bathtub. She had her throat sliced open. Chunks of flesh and innards covered whatever was left of her neck. Deli said to me, What was that you were saying about little termite nests? I gave her some serious splinters, and she didn't even complain once. However, the bitch was being a little pain in the neck. Get it, big boy? Do you get it? Whatever. I could explain to you again and again and again and again, but you still won't get it. My jokes are funny. Your jokes wouldn't make a 5-year-old laugh. I asked him how this is possible and how he was able to come to life. He laughed at me and explained, "Doesn't it make sense? You controlled me like a puppet. You made me move. You gave me life. It's my turn. You're the dummy now. You do whatever I tell you to. Otherwise, I'll take your life." I told him that I know all about him and planned to abandon him like his previous master. He proceeded to laugh at me. He told me that his previous owner was a delusional idiot and explained that he was never alive until I showed up. He would never leave. All my sanity had went out the window. I grabbed him and held him down, slamming him repeatedly against the floor, cracking the side of his face. He fought back. He knocked me down and tried to beat me with a lamp on the dresser. "This'll knock some sense in you," he laughed. He said, laughing maniacally. I lifted him up by the legs and slammed him against the wall repetitively, knocking out one of his eyeballs. He got back up and tackled me. He was choking my with his small hands. I threw him against the TV, breaking it. He didn't get up. When I turned around, I found out why. The manager from the club had walked in. He saw the place had been smashed and wondered why I hung up on him. He called the police when he saw the body in the bathroom. I now spend my time in a mental institute. I never told anyone about this dummy. Who the hell would believe it? My brother and sister were the only ones I told. They think I'm crazy. They think I was placing my hidden anger and hatred within the dummy. Deli was basically ruined in the struggle. Was it possessed? Or am I really crazy? I don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is that I'm proud he's no longer here. But when I get out, will I be safe?